Let me just confirm. Okay, it's I believe it is recording. Okay, so welcome again, everybody, to the second webinar of the NGI Explorers. First of all, if you have missed our first webinar, I would strongly encourage you to go to our website and take a look. You have their slides and you have the recorded version with all the questions also that have been raised. So I think it's a very valuable resource for you. Today we will focus, while before we are focusing really on the basics concerning the open call. Today we are planning to give you more information about what is actually expected once you are selected, and more about the process and the project itself, the project that you will be running, how this approach will look like. So without further ado, let's just start. So the content for us for today is I will be providing you some tips and background information on how to actually be successful applicant and what you should know regarding this. Then further, my colleagues Diana and Esther from Zabala will take you through a journey with some information what you can expect before, during your expedition in the United States and after. And my colleague Jose will provide you more information about the US nodes, with particular attention given to the per teams option, as this is an option that you can bring a new US node. I have some background noise. Please tell me if it's disturbing. I will use my headphones. So otherwise, give me some clue in the chat. And of course, as always, at the end, there will be dedicated time for any of your questions, and we will try to cover them with proper answer for you. Okay. So what you should know in order to be a successful applicant. Well, I would suggest to start from the basics, meaning that you should have a clear understanding of what is the mission of the NGI Explorers program. And our mission is we want to bridge the collaboration between Europe and the United States market, research market, and sorry, please turn unmute yourself. That would be very useful for all of us, so we don't have a background noises. Okay, I will mute all. Okay, let me be back. So I was referring to the mission. You should have a clear understanding that we want to bridge the collaboration, strong collaboration between Europe and the United States through an exchange of talent and knowledge to catalyze so-called next generation of internet. That leads us to the very specific goal. We want to sponsor, invest in you, in people with talents and with knowledge, with the goal that you develop projects with a very high potential to create like concrete NGI services and products. We label them made in Europe, because we want you to go to United States, but we want you to be back with the knowledge that you gain from there, and and further develop your ideas here in Europe. So this is very first tip, to really have a clear understanding what we expect from you and from the whole project. Then the second, I believe you should really understand what is next generation internet. The NGI Explorers is a part of a big European Union initiative, and to have a clear understanding what is expected from the next generation internet. What is expected, then you should really reach the website that is linked here on the bottom, www.ngi.eu. This is an initiative that started in 2016, and we really want to build a new internet society, community. We call it the future generation, that will promote the values that are also very appreciated and promoted by the European Union. That is very in a brief sense. I have covered that in the previous webinar presentation, but please feel free, and I highly suggest it, to also visit the Next Generation Internet website and even sign up to the newsletter, and you will really have understanding of the whole, because we are a strong part of the whole initiative. That would be the second tip. Let me just check what is going on chat. Oh, okay, because that's just a question. Okay, so I will move further from that. The third tip is, I believe, to submit a successful application, you should know and understand the whole process, meaning the whole approach of the NGI Explorers, what will happen once you are selected. In detail, of course, this process will be covered in the next session, but here you have like a all in one picture to understand, you know, where is the starting point and where is the end, which actually doesn't need to be the end, because we will be trying to support very successful explorers, meaning either researchers, of course, or innovators, to sustain their project. So just to really give you like a quick understanding, of course, we are now in the phase of the open call. In the open call, we have a pool. We have a pool of you, people with talents and knowledge, researchers and innovators, and we have a pool of the partners from the United States. We give you freedom to select, you know, your favorite US nodes in the open idea. Then we give you also freedom to select a challenge, and the liberty, the biggest liberty is given in the per team option when you can bring us your own US nodes that you will reach. And after, at the end of the open call, based on your selected preferences, we will check if they all match, but we will also be trying to doing any matchmaking if we really realize a potential opportunity that your proposal, if it's rejected by your favorite US nodes, we will still try to encourage to connect you with any potential other US node that would be interested, of course, given that your application will be technically strong and well scored by our external experts. So this is to really have a clear understanding where we have now and how the process will look like in this matchmaking. Of course, right after there will be evaluation, selection, and contracting phase, but this on the evaluation phase, I will be back in a second. You need to be aware that once you are selected, you will go, and it is an obliged participation in an immersion. Again, just a very key word, as this will be covered by my colleagues, but this is like a few days event that will happen this year in Lisbon. And the main the main goals of that event is that you will connect, of course, with other selected explorers. You will get some understanding of the US culture and of course of the next generation internet initiative and the vision itself. Then concerning your application, you need to, I mean, I suggest, of course, and encourage you that you will tailor it mostly with the reference to the expedition. So what's gonna be happening once you are in the United States. What we expect from you is that, of course, you will be developing your project using resources from the United States resources, meaning all the facilities that they can provide you with. From us, from our side, you will be receiving certain tech and business support that will be mentioned in detail by Diana and Esther in the second part of the webinar. And at the end, we expect that that this whole sort of collaboration between different parties, us, United States, and you, will bring us to the point of technology transfer, and we will be also supporting you with our knowledge and our expert in doing this. And at the end of your expedition, of course, there will be that NGI Oscars event, just to select the top one, and of course, then coming up with a plan how not to end your projects or your collaboration with us here, but try to expand it using other resources or knowledge or other projects that are involved in the NGI initiative. And of course, alongside the project, a very important task is that using also your collaboration, we want to try to build strong ecosystem and afterwards, of course, outreach all your work to promote your work. So let me quickly check the chat only if there's anything to me. If there's anything to me, I propose to raise a hand, because otherwise Otherwise, I will not be checking the chart on a regular basis, but as Jose suggested, you can of course post a question there in the chat. Okay, so let's just move further. This is already the fourth tip, yes, I believe so. So what are the key elements of a successful proposal from the side of the consortium, how we see it? Well, you have basically the application form at F6S website. This is the first part, the question that you need to answer, it is know-how. So we will be looking, we and of course experts will be looking on your expertise and skills that you represent. We will be really looking is if you prove that, or not if you prove, that's not in that sentence, if you have any relevance already with the NGI and next generation internet, or if your profile is really suitable to the values and the mission that is represented by the NGI, and of course overall your internet related experience or research or innovation startups. Then of course the second part referred to the excellence of your proposal, meaning very strong technical performance. So our external experts will be looking, of course, on the technical scope. They will be checking the quality and the clarity of your proposal. And one of the most important things, they will look at the visibility of the work plan, meaning that you should really match well your plan, either for 3 months or for the 6 months, because of course we know either 3 or 6 months is not a lot of time. Therefore depends how much advanced your idea will be. This must be shown in a visible way to achieve, of course. And the third part, and is also relevant to the application form, it concerns the impact of your proposal, of your idea, or the solution that you are addressing, that you are proposing to address and challenge posted by the United States, or your agreement with your new US, I'm sorry, with your US note from the PER teams. What type of impact? Of course, in general impact, but this impact is also related with the impact expected by the next generation internet initiative itself. So as you briefly could see, the European Union, they want to invest and build internet related technologies that will be also valuable for the rest of the society, and they will expand. So in that sense, you can expect from us that we will be paying attention if your proposal address any technology impact. Of course, that's the first. Then the second, and the social impact and economic impact as well, if your idea of your project can at the end of the day indeed be transformed into a product or services or facilitate spreading the very important knowledge. So this will be the main points that external will be looking at, and then quickly at the end, we as the consortium, we will be checking, and you should answer your question if you match with the US note requirement, and all those US notes requirement are listed, of course, on our websites in all those PDF forms. So please make sure you understand and you go through them very well while selecting your preferable US nodes. Let me move a bit faster. So here you just have like a one figure that explain you know how the evaluation process. So self-explanatory, but just to give you background information, first eligible step will be done by us, by the consortium. We will basically quickly check, not quickly, very transparently in a clear, sound way, if you meet all the requirements stated in the guidelines. If you are eligible, then we move your proposal to the external expert that will be built from two environments. We will have a technical expert, a technology technical expert, and we'll have business experts. So it's a blend of those two experts for your information. And then, as stated in the guideline, first is remote evaluation. They will score your application from 0 to 5, each of the sections, this know-how, excellence, and impact. And then, of course, there will be a threshold. Threshold for every section is minimum 3 points. And then those, unfortunately, that will be below will receive rejection letter. We expect 25 shortlisters to be invited for the online interview. And then, of course, there will be consensus meeting, and we'll pre-select. We expect around 15, plus minus 15, the best application, and then we'll invite you for the, for signing the contract. Sub-grantee contract, meaning between us, a consortium represented by F6S, YO as a beneficiary, and the United States partner. Okay, let's move further. Immersion, just to give you again a brief understanding what is to expect. We have already a preliminary day. We don't expect it to be changed, but of course it will be officially confirmed with the selected applicants. But you can already save your potential days for the between 21st and 23 of October this year. And how this will look like, we have a brief agenda. We expect you to arrive on Monday. We will start in the afternoon, and to go into details, what we will cover, we want to cover 3 master classes and 3 type of workshop. Also Diana and Esther will give you more information concerning what topics you can expect. But what I can tell you already at this point, we will definitely be inviting experts from the IPR issues, and also I can already confirm we will have a person, our advisory board representative from the knowledge transfer, and of course we from the expert from the consortium from Zabala, Innovation Consulting from Interinov, and from F6S. And that's it from my side, and I will give a word now to Diana and Esther. Let me just quickly give them a control. Girls, please confirm you have it. Yes?
Yeah, I think we do.
Yeah, okay, perfect. So I'll mute myself, and then, yeah.
Okay, I don't know if, yeah. Let me try to go back. I think this has a lot of lags. I don't know if, okay, it's working now. Okay, so hello everyone. This is Diana from Zavala. As Hiva already mentioned, we will give you a brief overview on all the additional services that we can provide for you as an explorer during the program. So let's dive in. These are the contexts for this section. As you can see here, we have breaking it down to before, during, and after the expedition. So we can kind of classify the services by the moment in time that you will be receiving them. So first things first, the before part. As Eva already detailed, there will be an immersion bootcamp before you begin your expedition, right after you have been selected as an explorer. As she already said, there are preliminary dates as of now. It will be set in Lisbon this coming October. And the point is to give you a series of master classes in several topics that might be really useful for both your expedition itself and after that expedition. So in that line, these are, you can see here in the slide, the main topics that we will be addressing in this immersion bootcamp. You can see the first thing would be to give you a brief introduction to the NGI vision. This will, of course, give you a sense of what the NGI initiative as a whole is and how do we kind of fit in there, and what the whole goal and principles are for each of the projects within this NGI initiative. So after this introduction, there are several classes on lean startup and agile methodologies, just to give you a general view of really useful methodologies for you to create new products and services and kind of manage both your master plan during the expedition and kind of scale your product or your service and get forward with it after your expedition. So in that sense, we will also be giving some business coaching and pitch training for you to potentially reach investors and so on. I don't know why why it went forward. Let me just
Diana, just try to use, yeah, indeed, the bottom arrows. I don't know why the other doesn't work, but
I'm trying.
Very
Okay, so we're back. Okay, so yeah, it doesn't let me. Yeah, there we go. So I was saying pitch training and coaching, so you can reach potential investors after the expedition and kind of get them interested in your idea. Also, some IPR basics for you to for you to kind of know where you stand in terms of protecting your idea, and this will also be linked to some kind of funding opportunities from the private and public administration. So just to tie it all in. Of course, we will be giving you some tips on the American mindset as a whole, as an abstract concept, because you will be spending from 3 to 6 months there, so that would be useful for you to consider. And of course, you will be meeting your fellow explorers there, so there will be enough time for networking and getting to know each other. And of course, as I said, we are part of the NGI initiative, and in this regard, we are lucky to have the support of our colleagues from NGI Tetra, which is another project, another EU-funded project that will actually support us in giving you this kind of services in terms of IPR and business mentoring and so on. So that will be the before. And then let's see if we can go to the during. Okay, so now you're in the middle of your expedition. What are the services that you can expect from us during this time? So mainly coaching and follow-up services. In this case, before going to your expedition, you would already have agreed on a master plan, which is your proposal, your work proposal with the US node, and also a series of milestones and deliverables, checkpoints, so to speak, for your expedition. So we will help you achieve these milestones in the realm of what we can offer in terms of support. We will do that by having periodic online follow meetings with you, just to check on you and give you support in your expedition. And of course, this will be seen like a kind of mentoring and intermediary support with the US node in case you might require. And from your side, of course, we will require from you some intermediary reports in terms of technical and funding checkups. And of course, there will be some KPIs to monitor in terms of, releasing new payment milestones and so on. So yeah, this would be during your expedition. And then after you come back, the fun doesn't end. So you will be, of course, invited to the NGI Explorers Oscars. You've already introduced this part a little bit. This will be an event with all explorers from this first call. What we want, our objective with this event is to give you visibility and reward you for your hard work during your expedition. So we will be giving out awards to top explorers, and also we will have kind of brokerage event, so you can communicate with potential stakeholders and talk about your ideas and your products and so on. So yeah, that will be immediately after you come back. And then in the long term, we will create the NGI Explorers alumni program, which is a kind of online meeting environment, a platform where explorers from the first open call and the upcoming open calls for the program will be able to meet up and discuss about their experiences and maybe share connections with their use notes and propose new collaborations and so on. So it's a nice environment and a close-knit community that we intend to create with all the explorers that have actually been funded by this program. So yeah, of course, as a supporting service to this after part, we will be giving you further details on funding opportunities. This means, as I said before, preliminary prospection of public and private funding sources, also due diligence, and of course, if it's in our hands, we will connect you with potential investors that might be interested in your product, your service, your idea. So that would be mostly the overview of what we intend to do regarding additional services that might be given to you. And now I'll give the floor to my colleague Esther, which will guide you through the most frequently asked questions that we have received up until now, so you can have a sense of what the most common doubts about the program are and how to solve them.
Good morning, everyone. So we want now to go through as my colleague was mentioning, which are the most frequently asked questions. So these have been mainly all about the beneficiaries of the program, also questions about the visa and the insurance, and finally we would like also to remember all the reference documents that you can have a look at before your submission. So concerning the beneficiaries, as you may know, all the candidates must be employed in any of these entities, which are covering universities, also research centers, either public or private, which are for basic or applied research. Mid-caps, which means, as you know, companies between 250 and 3,000 employees. It's also including small and medium enterprises established in the countries that we are mentioning now right after, and also startups. So these entities that I have already mentioned, they have to be established in any of the member states of EU, in one of the OCT countries that you have them listed there, or either one being one of the H2020 associated countries. So you can check here in the list that we have provided, which are the updated list of published by the Commission on the latest associated countries. So moving forward, what is required for the US expedition? So concerning the visa, all the candidates must be available passport holders in any of the countries mentioned before, that is the EU member states, OCT countries, or H2020 associated countries, and they all are required to obtain a US visa for their stay in the US. In this case, the J1 is the official recommended visa for your stay, which is a non-immigrant visa issued by the states for the research scholars, professors, and exchange visitors. So in case needed, we could support you by providing an invitation letter when you apply for getting this visa. Here on the down right, you have a quick link where you can find further information on how to apply, which with steps to the exchange visitor program to get your visa. Then, concerning the insurance, again, explorers, they are responsible to ensure that during their stay in the US, they have a health insurance covering all their regulatory requirements in the US. Down there, again, on the right, you have a list of which are the insurance minimum requirements related to this J1 visa. And please remember that the visa and also assuring that the health insurance coverage, it's ground for termination of the program. So be sure that you have either the visa and the insurance coverage fully included when moving to the States. And latest from my side, it's about which are all the reference documents. For sure, you are aware of the, you may have checked already which are the guidelines for applicants. If not, you have there all the information concerning the program, their timeline, about the beneficiaries, also all the information concerning the submission of your proposal, the evaluation process, the expedition itself, and further information on the contracting issues, payments, and so on. Also, all the frequently asked questions that we have been receiving so far, you can have a look at there in the link that we are providing here in case you can have a further check. The online submission form, in case you want also to have a previous look on which is the information that you have to provide online, you can also get this document which gather, let's say, all the same information that you have to submit online, which is the background on the your proposal itself, your profile, and so on. So you can get this form to have a previous overlook on the information to be provided for your submission. Then the declaration of honor. All the candidates applying via the online platform are confirming that they have read all the information describing the guidelines, that they are reading on the times of reference, including the guidelines. Also that all the information that they are providing is up to date and correct. And all these, let's say, statements are gathered in this declaration of honor. You can have a look at it. And it's including also not only from the candidate side, but also from the your beneficiary entity. Okay, so you can have here a full look of this document. And the final one, stated of full commitment. This is only referring for those applying to the pair teams. In this case, if you are applying to this option, you are requested to submit this commitment, which is a commitment that you have to request to the US institution that it's hosting, let's say, that it will be hosting you in the States. So you can also you can download the document here, and you are, in case of applying to the PER teams, as I said, you are requested to just to submit this short commitment from the US node that you are applying with. And this is all from my side. I'm giving the floor now to my colleague Jose, who will give you an overview on which are the US nodes that are included in this first call for proposal.
Yes. Good morning to everyone. So, Eva, can you probably to share the presentation role with me, or maybe you just can, go through the slides?
Let me check because Zabala had now the remote control. I don't know who has now. Let me check.
Yeah, I give it back to you. So
okay, thank you. Thank you, Diana. So Jose, you prefer I will be changing the slides, yes?
Okay, sure, yeah. So again, I mean, I won't spend a lot of time with these slides, but just for you to give you an overview on how we have approached the interaction with the US partners so far. I mean, this is a fellowship program with the United States, so which means that besides all the meaningful guidelines that the program itself is providing, it's really important. And one of the cornerstones from the program itself is to how we can better. I mean, one of the mission that we have is how we can actually cooperate in a much better way with different US partners, okay, around the next generation internet topic. So to do that, we have followed a couple of approaches. The first one is how we can give you the opportunity to work with some partners that we have teamed up with. So think of, I don't have any kind of partner in the US, but I'm interested in opportunities. So this is where we decided to step in, and this is how before opening up the first call, we decided to to approach the partners that you are seeing right now in this slide. I mean, we decided to provide a list of US organizations for you to provide a proposal. So right now we have a list of 16 partners in the US where you can basically either submit your idea, your open idea, in the sense you have an idea and you want to propose a specific topic to work with one of these specific partners. Or the other option that we are also allowing is if you go to the website, you will see that mostly, I would say, of these partners have defined specific challenges, specific technology requirements that they would be interested in. So in that sense, you can actually take a look at the specifics of these partners in the way of challenges, and you can actually propose your proposal based on their profile, So now Eva is sharing pretty much a profile that we have for each one of these partners, where pretty much it's sum up the different information about the partner itself, a little bit about, the specific organization that it's working with us, like the department. So Eva, I don't know, I'm not really seeing nothing right now.
Okay, sorry, let me go back to the presentation, okay? I wanted just to give them an example.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just be back.
Well, I mean, yes. What I was going to try to say here is, like, if you go to the NGI Explorers website, you will see the full description for each one of these partners. Even though you will see that the main logo for example, for a university is there. I mean, we actually are working with the specific departments, for example, like the computer science, or with the specific research centers that are related to these universities or these specific partners. Eva, I cannot really see the slides anymore. I don't know why.
Wait, just a second, because I can see that it tells me sharing stop.
Okay. Yeah.
Is it possible to ask some questions?
If you don't mind, maybe we can wait for the end of the presentation, which is not long, and we can address your questions at the end of the presentation, if it's okay.
Okay. When you have the technical some tasks, it's possible to answer some questions.
Yes, I mean, again, I mean, I will keep it quite short here for you to have time for the questions. Okay. So, I mean, coming back to the US partners, I mean, we already provided a number of partners in the US for you to apply. And now we are working to extend this network for the second round. But please remember that you can always propose your partner in the US. So the first couple of options were in case that you didn't have any partner, or you would be interested in to work with one of the partners that we are providing. But you also have this third option, which is the pair teams, where you could propose your idea to work with your specific partner. So this specific option is because either you already have contacts in the US that you would like to work with, or because your specific organization, like a university or like a specific company, has already a partner in the US. So for you, it's really interesting to work with that partner specifically rather than with the partners that we are providing. So please remember that you can always propose your partner, because we understand that the limited network that we have, it's we have specific resources for that, but you can always propose your specific partner. So if you go to the next slide, the kind of partners in the US that we are looking for are pretty much two different profiles, as you could see. I mean, the fellowship program is intended to cover either researchers or either innovators. So what we're trying to find in the US, it's pretty much academic organizations, which are a little bit more in the, their mission is a little bit to drive research and advancement on the technology per se. So their main objective is to work with technology and to for example, like this is specifically in the case of, for example, academics or specific research centers, but also we also try to bring on board business organizations. So organizations like companies, startups, or SMEs that are applying the business models to the emerging technology. So at the end of the day, we are trying to target two different profiles. Like we're trying to target your profiles with the candidates like yours, like either researchers or either entrepreneurs. So if you go to the next slide, in case you are trying to address cooperation with a specific partner in the US, let me just share with you the benefits that we foresee when we approach to, for example, when we approach the 16 partners that are already working with us, we presented this value proposition, because for your information, the project is not allowed to provide any kind of monetary resources to non-European organizations. So all these American partners are not allowed to get any funding from the project, from the program itself. So the four main topics that, the four main values that we propose to these partners to join the program and host you is, first, the access to the talent. To get access to the Europeans' digital powerhouse in high-tech research and innovation. Just for your information, let me give you the following news. I mean, Europe is within the innovation scoreboard among the different regions at worldwide scale. It's actually now ranked above the US in innovation. So this means that we actually are ranked better than the US in terms of innovation. So even if you may think that technology itself, it's better done in the US rather than Europe, you're wrong. I mean, Europe, it's quite well advanced in innovation and also in research compared to the US. The main difference is the way that we market. And this is the reason why we want to get you in the US, to really understand how you can actually market the technology that you are working with. Second of all, that we are trying to one of the benefits that we also try to sell to the US partners is the cost savings. At the end of the day, for them, is hosting one of the explorers is, it's quite cheap because they are getting access to talented professionals like you at a minimum cost. I mean, because pretty much all the fellowship we will cover by the Open Commission, as you already know. Third, the third main benefit is about the cooperation. I mean, US partners are really eager to cooperate with Europe, but most of the time they don't really know how to do this in an operation and a practical terms. So this program itself, it's a really good opportunity for them to create these partnerships and real cooperation with US partners like you. And fourth of all, the fourth main benefit is the visibility that this opportunity gives them. H 2020 and the next framework program will be, that the international cooperation, it's in most of the cases welcome. So being part of this fellowship program for them is also an unfair advantage for further and future opportunities in terms of funding for them as well. So these are the four main benefits that we pitch when we approach to a US partner, and may be helpful for you when you reach out to your US partner as well, if, for example, if we want to propose a purchase. So if you go to next slide, pretty much, okay, so what are the US partners providing? So they will be, again, the catalyzers of the transfer of knowledge. So they will be the ones helping you to drive the experience, the fellowship. Some of the points that we may highlight here is like, as Esther mentioned before, they will help us and they will help you to obtain the visa. Because without their support letter, probably it will be really hard for you to get the visa. So they will make sure to support to obtain the visa. Again, they will provide a physical space for you to actually be there. I mean, we don't want you to be under under a bridge, so they will actually welcome you and give you access to the premises and to a physical space where you can actually work there. And they will also make sure, and this is the third point, to work with them in the daily activities. They will try to welcome you and integrate your profile into their day-to-day activities as well. And last but not least, I mean, we said that we will provide some mentorship and some support remotely from Europe, but they will be the first-hand mentorship and especially the guidance for a better adaptation in the US culture. At the end of the day, they are the ones living in the US, so you should actually make sure that you learn from their experience, their culture, and again, I mean, this is a unique opportunity to learn how you can actually better market the activities that you do in Europe, and then come back to Europe and apply that. So I don't know if there is any other slide. No. So pretty much this is a little bit the overview on how you could actually approach US partners if you are interested more in this per team option, which is again how you can actually work with a partner which is not part of the network that we have. So in case you try to pitch the opportunity in a much better way. So what we can do now is we can go through the list of questions that you have. So we can start now. I've been collecting some of the questions, so let me start with the first one that I have in the list, which is from Christian. Christian has a couple of questions. So the first one is he's stating that he's working with working full time in a research project, which is pretty much his full-time position. But unfortunately, he is not able to provide all these details in the limited space that we have in the application form, because we only have 300 characters limit. So he's asking us basically if he's allowed to upload a 3-page description about the technical design that he is actually proposing. So probably, Eva, this is a question for you.
Yes, there is a limited, I would need to open the F6S page, but there is a limited in terms of how big file you can upload. So I don't know if those 3 pages won't exceed the size of the file. You can upload it, but also please make sure, because this advice I was giving in the last webinar, we are sponsoring 3 or 6 months stay in US. Therefore, it is also important to make it visible project that you will be running there during your stay. That's the one thing. And the second tip is please remember that your application will be reviewed by experts, and they have like a fixed time to review. So I understand very often, especially research projects, are really long in terms of valid information that must be provided. But we need to find a balance in that, and the most important information that will catch their attention will prove them that you have a good understanding of that project, has a chance to be well developed. Please focus on that. Simply like writing an abstract for a conference. We are writing abstract for 500 words for the papers that are sometimes even 10 pages long. So look at this from that perspective. And I hope it covered the question.
Yeah, he also has another question, which is about the commercialization approach. Because I mean, he's a PhD student, so the commercialization value proposition in his specific case is not realistic. So he's asking us whether the impact can be also considered in the long term, or if this can be, I mean, when he applies, can be covered by any kind of other kind of impact itself. So maybe I can take back that question. So, I mean, Christian, I mean, the program itself is not just meant for innovators. We're also trying to cover the profile of researchers. So even though the type of activities that you're doing now, it's not at a mature level for commercialization per se, you can try to create and highlight the more research impact that you may have. For example, that trying to advance in the state of the art, but also, as you are suggesting, you can also try to envision how is the potential market impact in, I don't know, in 5 years time. So both approaches can be also fine in the application that you have. So again, this is not just for entrepreneurs, this is also for researchers. So a good approach for that is if you can, try to highlight the research impact that you have right now and the potential market approach probably in the longer term, as you were suggesting.
Exactly. I just want to very quickly only complement that we, through this project, we also want to open a new sort of approach in the research mind. So they will become open for that commercialization side, for that knowledge transfer. And some of the people that will be applying today may not have such knowledge. That's why all those additional services and the bootcamp, well, you will be provided with a knowledge that how you can do it. So please don't be afraid to submit your proposal as a research. We fully understand that that not all researchers will be meeting that expectation from the innovators, and we have a pool of money dedicated for the researchers and innovators. But of course, at the end of the day, the score of the proposal from the technical point of view mostly is very important. But please feel definitely encouraged.
Okay, thank you, Eva. So let's move on to the next question because there are a few of them. And we have limited time here. The next couple of questions are coming from Gonzalo Martins. The first one is, he's asking the following question. I mean, he's asking, before studying or during the program, he's asking whether he can change to another employee or this may affect to the application. So probably this question is a little bit more for Esther or Diana.
Yeah, the thing is, Gonzalo, so you have been selected, and then comes the contracting phase. And this contracting phase implies that there will be a 3-way contract between the NGI Explorers Consortium, which will be represented by Eva as a success, and then also yourself as the explorer, and your beneficiary, the company, the institution that you currently belong to. So if this beneficiary changes before this contracting phase, we will first have to check whether this new beneficiary is eligible for the program, and if so, we will have to sign this agreement with them. And if this change comes while you are already in your expedition and this contract has already been signed, we will need to sign an updated contract because the previous one will no longer be valid because it would involve your previous employer, which you are no longer working for. So yeah, that would imply a contract change in any case.
Okay, and probably you can, the next question from him is also, you can also take care of that. So it's about intellectual property, which is a question that we have quite often. Does the US not takes our intellectual property, and how this is handled if they don't have a specific patent?
Oh, I see. Maybe this question was asked to you privately because it doesn't show up in my screen. They are asking about the IPR protection for the project and the results. Is that it? Okay.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
So you will be collaborating with a U.S. institution. So the IPR strategy will be decided on a one-to-one basis. What we propose, you can check the guidelines for this, section 10, intellectual property rights, and you can check there the basic principles that we have adopted for the program in regards to background, foreground, and what your protection rights are. These are based on the standard Marie Curie approach from the H2020 program. And of course, this can be adapted to each individual case because there will be US notes that have certain requirements in terms of IPR, but this will have to be dealt with on a one-on-one basis. So, of course, this is a very critical issue in the program. So that's why we included these IPR services, these additional services within the immersion, and of course, they will be taken care in the contracting phase also.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next question, I can take care of that. It's from Rahul. He's asking whether there is a benefit for the new US nodes to join in terms of financial resources. So as I mentioned before, I mean, the program, it's not allowed by our own agreement with the European Commission to support in terms of financial resources to the US organization. So the answer is not. There is no financial benefit for them. But if you take a look to the 4 benefits that I stated before, this is the value proposition that we are proposing to those organizations in the US that are partnering with us. So probably you can take those 4 main bullet points for you to maybe to pitch the idea to a potential US organization willing to work with you. Huh? So next question is from Christina. The first question that she has is there any date limit to start the expedition in January? So maybe Diana, you can take care of that question.
Diana, I don't know, I can also take over because, and please correct me, but I do believe we share the same understanding. No, we don't have any limitation. We understand that the visa application process will take place between November and December, when it's also holiday season, which we are aware of. So this will, of course, depends when the applicant will confirm the visa. But from my understanding, we don't have any specific limitation in terms of date in January. We want that for the 6 months period, the expedition will start in January. For the 3 months period, applicants are free to select any 3 months in a row between January and June 2020.
Yeah, that's right. We agree on that. So yeah, you should be expected to go to the US in January, and then 6 months from that.
And next question from her side is also for you, Eva. She's actually wondering how does it really work, the second round, to work with a bird team? If you can actually try to share a little bit more information in that sense.
Yes, so the first of all, what is important to clarify is that the online interview is an additional form for evaluation. The baseline for the evaluation is the score from the independent evaluators, from the remote evaluation. So in terms of per teams, we as the consortium partners, we will take part in the online interview, and of course a partner from the US node from the per teams will be also invited to that online interview. So the two parties will be taking part during the interview. So that's to clarify. But as I mentioned, this is an additional information for us. We will be, of course, checking. It may be funny, but we need to also check, of course, the English skills, the performance, and simply we will have a specific question from our side as the consortium, and we expect some specific question, mostly probably regarding the master plan or from the technical point of view from the US node side. But that's it. That's how it will look like.
Okay. So next couple of questions coming from Jose. The first one is related to, okay, he's actually stating that the proposal has to be accepted by the US node. So what happens if the proposed node doesn't accept the proposal? How many attempts to find alternative nodes will take place?
I can take over this, and Jose, you or Diana can complement me further, Esther, on that. But to remind, every applicant have three options, so three preferences to select US nodes if we talk about the open ideas. If he or she applies for the challenge, of course, then it means there is just one choice. Per teams is also one choice. What is important here to say that, well, in open ideas, we will have still the flexibility to check if the first choice of preference reject indeed the application, we may try to do the matchmaking with other US nodes, the other two of your preference. So this is what is expected from our side concerning the open ideas. With regards to challenge or the per teams, the situation is rather difficult to come up with the alternatives unless the proposal, well, concerning the per teams, I don't expect it can be rejected by the chosen US node, because that wouldn't make much of the sense. In case of the challenge, of course, it is possible. Well, the challenge is tricky because you are tailoring, of course, your proposal to a very specific requirements for the US nodes. So at this moment, I think there wouldn't be really much of flexibility to do any matchmaking with the other US nodes, unless that would be fitting with other United States needs. Nevertheless, yes, this is basically what we can say at this moment. So I would say encourage you to write a very good proposal for the challenge, and for the open ideas, you have that flexibility with three choices.
Also, he has another question that it's a little bit different. The employees that he's planning to send has a resident permit in Finland, but not European citizenship. So his question is whether there is a specific requirement for the visa in this specific scenario.
So I think first, you are eligible as long as you are a valid passport holder. You don't need to have EU citizenship per se, but the institution you're coming from needs to be based either on a European member state or on an OCT or an associated country. That's the first requirement. Then for the visa, you need to go to the links that we have provided and check whether you fulfill all the requirements needed to apply for a G1 visa, because that would be the visa required for this specific collaboration with the US. So please go to the links. We will be sharing the presentation with all of you, so you will have the reference documents and everything that we have shared today with you. And you can check whether you are eligible for the visa. in this case.
Thank you. Last question that I got from the chat, and then probably we can open up a little bit the opportunity for other participants to ask the questions. So the question is coming from Fernando Gomez. He's asking whether it is possible to have an accelerator organization like a plug and play. So I'm not really sure if he's referring to the European organization or the American organization, but let me try to figure it out, and please maybe you can provide a little more details from the question. So the idea is that as long as the organization is working with one of the NGI topics that we have defined, I mean the list of 10 topics about AI, blockchain, big data, and so on, and the organization in Europe is part of the the European Union or related countries, it should be fine. The thing is, for an accelerator, it will be a little bit harder, I guess, to match that scenario, because accelerators usually work with startups rather than working with the technology per se. But of course, I mean, if you fit with that profile, it could be also a possibility. And in the case if it's an organization in the US, the same way. I mean, probably the accelerators in the US can link you to US startups and SMEs. So it could be also a possibility.
Yes, Nosa, I just would like to compliment, because it's a very specific case, and we would need to really know more details, because from the matter of fact, we are open for very clear two types of organization. And even though Accelerator may try to fit a little bit from the business organization, we should always remember what type of services we are required from our US node to provide to our explorers in order to successfully accomplish the project. And this is important. So we need to make sure that the US node, in terms of this accelerator organization, would provide, would boost the project mostly from the technology point of view. And in that sense, from the consortium side, we have that concern that accelerator doesn't have that technology knowledge that we are looking for. This is one of the requirements, that the organization, the US node, needs to have an experience in the internet-related fields in terms of expertise in technology, either, of course, in the business or the research. But this is a more tricky situation, and I would just advise to contact us individually, and then we will be looking closer what type of organization and whether this organization is eligible to apply as a US node.
Okay, so we just got another couple of questions in the chat from Martin. The first question that he has is about the insurance. I mean, is the cost for extending or even acquiring a new insurance can be covered on the funding pack of the fellowship?
Jose, I didn't hear the last part. Are you referring to the first question about Martin Serrano?
Yes, the first question from Martin, yes.
Oh yeah, the funding we are providing is exclusively to cover the cost of your travel and subsistence in the US. So yeah, this funding cannot be employed to extend your health insurance in this case. So you will have to take care of that separately.
Okay,
I just believe we have missed. Sorry, I just believe we have missed one question from a person that was asking if can apply. From Gonzalo. I think we didn't cover that. Can someone apply if she doesn't belong to any company nor research institute, unemployed? I believe that was we didn't cover it yet. So,
no, because we didn't finish with Martin, but maybe you can cover.
okay, sorry, because I understood there was a question from Fernando that was further. Okay, so.
No, maybe please go on with the question from Gonzalo, and we can go back to Martin.
Okay, so just quickly answer. I mean, actually, Diana would be the right person to answer that question.
Yeah, as we said before, if you are unemployed currently, you don't have an employer per se, and the sub-grantee agreement requires the signature of your beneficiary. So I do not believe you will be eligible for the program.
So just to go back to and close with the question from Martin, is his second question is about the impact on innovation. So his specific question is whether the working with organizations like public administrations, I mean, the rise of funding in programs or even the creation of new funding instruments can be considered as a KPI for in terms of impact of innovation. I mean, his question is pretty much if he's working with a public organization like a public government or national agency. I mean, the fostering further, public funding between maybe EU, US could be something of value for the program.
Yeah, of course, innovation is a very broad aspect in this case. And as Eva mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, there is impact regarding the technical side of your proposal, and there's also additional impacts from the societal point of view, and also from an economic point of view. So in regards to the public government question and the innovation applied to them, of course, if it brings you forward in this in the realm of the next generation internet, of course, it's a valid innovation KPI. Yeah.
Thanks, Eva. Thanks, Jose. Thanks for the answers.
And yes, I just want to add something on top of that. I mean, this is a EU-US cooperation program, which means that any kind of value that any of you could actually help us to create in this transatlantic cooperation would be highly appreciated and we will highly valued. So yes, you conclude with that comment. I don't have any other question in the chat, so now probably you can. I mean, if I missed something, or I mean, I remember there was a question when I was presenting about the US partners. Probably the first time
Yes,
mm-hmm.
I have several questions. My name is Kirill. First question: could you please say again about the goal? Hello?
Yes, we didn't catch the full question. Can you please repeat it again? Hi, can you hear me?
I think he has issues with the microphone.
I don't know who was asking the question before, but can you please repeat the question because we couldn't hear it.
Was Kirill, Jose?
Kirill, can you please?
Hello?
Yes, please. Can you repeat the question?
The question is.
I think we're losing. Yeah, there's a problem with. If you have any questions, you can always reach us in the FAQ email. You have it on screen right now. So if you maybe can write it down and send it to us, we will be willing, very happy to answer.
The question is what level of research completeness should be provided as a result of the taking part of this project? Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Your question was what is the expected outcomes after the fellowship, or
Right.
yeah. So again, I mean, in a fellowship of 3 months, it's a time where, I mean, if you're talking about researchers or more within a more research-driven experience, the idea behind is like the explorers should come back to Europe with a specific outcomes out of the experience. For example, if we are talking about a more like a research profile, it would be also interesting to, for example, if you have come up with a technical paper along with one of the universities of the US. But if it's the case in the more innovation perspective, it is also good that, okay, I go to the US with a specific product or with a specific business idea or a specific business model. So we need to see that that experience in the US has helped you to improve that product of that business model. For example, if you have a specific feature, you will be able to improve the feature or create a new feature because you have been in the US and because maybe you have created a partnership agreement with the partner in the US, or maybe because you have been able to extend the business model. So whether your profile is more research driven or more innovation driven, it will be the outcome one way or another.
Thank you. And when we have the result of the project, what further steps should be? Should it be the continuing of the cooperation with the institution?
Yes. Again, I mean, the fellowship itself, it's just one step that we are, I mean, that we are providing on behalf of the European Commission for you to go to the US and create this relationship and this partnership with this partner, okay? So after the end of the fellowship, it's totally up to you to continue the collaboration with the partner. For example, in the sense of, for example, university, you will be able to keep working with them. Of course, after, you know, if you can actually find opportunities for that, or if it's in the case of a company, you know, sending someone to the US, it will be a nice opportunity for you to create some sort of like a memorandum of understanding where you could, you know, have a business partnership with them. So it's up to you to continue this cooperation further, more probably related to the more a business partners. So after the end of your stay in the US, it's totally up to you how you want to continue the relationship with the US. Having said that, we strongly encourage the applicants and the explorers to continue and to give some sort of like sustainability plan for this kind of a cooperation, because we want to create long-lasting cooperations with the US. So any kind of information, any kind of ideas that you have in mind, I strongly encourage you to put it on the proposal that you will submit, because this actually will help us to see who's really interested, not to just go there for vacation, but to actually work with the US partners and make it sustainable.
Exactly. Sorry, yeah, go ahead. I just wanted to add one more thing, that Please try to put your background noises down. Just wanted to remind what has been mentioned already during the webinar, that at the end of your stay during the NGI Oscar phase, every explorer will be a part of the NGI alumni program. And in that program, the perspective, the ideas, the research or innovation project with high potential, you know, to turn into products or services, we will be supporting those explorers within our networks of other projects that are within NGI, and that will be opening a lot of new open calls. So you will not be eligible to apply again for our open call, but it may be a fitting opportunity for the project from the other NGI project. So that's why just wanted to clarify at that point.
I would like to make a question. Is possible?
Sure, yes.
Okay, I'm Fernando Gomez from Training Experience. We develop a platform online for universities. That's why I'm really interested of taking part of the project. If I will be able, I would like not to make agreement with one of the partners. I would love to make an agreement with all the universities that are taking part of the project. And the idea is we develop a system for sharing information about internships all around the world. Moreover, we are generating a CV, we call evolutive CVs, that is generating from the moment that the student arrives to the university till they finish all the internships, and we evaluate, and it's generating some soft skills and legal skills are evaluated by the companies, by the universities. At the end, it's a software that we provide to the universities, and the idea is at the end to have enough information for the European Union to be able to organize better the funds of the Erasmus programs and similars. I don't know if this could be part of the project, because at the end we have one part that we are saving a lot of big data about the cost of life of the cities, and we are saving also information about the employability of the students after the internships. And moreover, we are generating also this CV, that the idea is to have CVs generated directly online from all the universities, sharing the information, and like something like blockchains that verify that the students, the CV that you provide to the company when you are looking for a job is totally verified and trustful. I think it's part of the project, but I don't know if how to focus this one, like human-centric internet, to focus to future hyperconnectivity, because at the end, this kind of CVs that we are generating is like social media or big data. I don't know how to present the project, and if also, I don't know if it's eligible or not. That's my question. And my other problem is how to choose the host the node in USA, because if I tell you the truth, I would love to go to all of them.
Eva, maybe you can take
yes.
that question.
Yes, I can start an answer, and if you feel, Jose or Esther and Diana, you should compliment me, then please go ahead. Well, first of all, from my understanding, the idea is definitely eligible. And actually, I think you have already answered to your question by giving us examples, where does it fit in our focus area. You mentioned the blockchain, you mentioned the big data solution with, you know, aggregating all that data concerning the internship. Of course, you must understand now that the call is not transparent, and I cannot give you a right ahead answer because that would be, I cannot provide you with exactly tips for your proposal, how to tailor it in order to be successful. What I can tell you now, it's definitely eligible. You just need to pay attention how you really justify and which I would suggest to choose, you know, first the focus areas that you think that are definitely fitting the description of your idea, and then have a clear understanding what stands behind them. And you have that explanation on our website, and I believe also in the guidelines, what we mean under big data, what we mean under blockchain, what we mean under human internet. So this is sort of like how to say homework to do to understand, and then to simply be good in the justification and making the reference points to what is expected from our program. That's, I believe, it's the first part. So you have that answer that yes, it is eligible. Concerning the selection of the US notes, it is hard for us to advise something. I think in your case, probably, because I believe, I remember, Fernando, you were the one asking if that accelerator is eligible. You please still contact us again with that question, giving us more information about the partner you have in mind. But apart from this, well, I would suggest, again, going through all the profiles of the United States notes. I know there are 16 them, and then still try to see and try to, how to say, forecast if any of them could have an interest in something that you are trying to develop, or you have already developed or want to expand. So that would be my answer. I don't know, Jose, Diana, you want to add something more to help Fernando in his question?
I agree with you. I think it's eligible, but of course we cannot give you any more insights on the evaluation because that would be unfair to the rest of the candidates. So yeah, as Eva said, you just need to go through the guidelines and review the evaluation criteria and try to tailor your proposal to whatever US note you end up choosing. And of course you have if you are applying to the Open Ideas option, you have up to 3 US notes you might be choosing from. So,
sorry, I didn't understand. There was one thing that there was some problem with the noise. I would like to apply to Open Ideas, but you told something, but I was not able to hear you.
Yeah, I was just saying, if you are applying to the Open Ideas participation option, you can select up to 3 US notes you would like to collaborate with. So that gives you a little bit more room to decide which is the best US note for you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
I don't know if there are more questions. I think we are very behind the time. It's 12:30. So unless there are very urgent questions, I would suggest you can always contact us via email, and we are answering all of the questions. You can also post them on a Twitter or post them on the F6S application. You have that link, and you need to after slash. It's a discussion forum. You can always also write there. Yeah, if there are no urgent questions, I would suggest to end up here.
One question is possible.
Okay. Yes. Go ahead.
In the presentation, it was indicated some organization named IRRV. What is it?
Can you be more specific? I don't understand what you mean. The organization of the US nodes, or this one?
No, it's some organization near the Zabala Consulting. The same level.
No, Zabala Consulting, Internal Consulting, and F6S.
And IRRV. What is it?
I think we are partners. We are the consortium members. We run the project.
And what is the name of your organization? We is who?
I'm sorry, I don't know if you, I represent F6S. I don't know if that's what you refer to.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. Do you refer to this slide?
It was 3 organizations: Zabala, F6S, and IRRV. What is
It's internal. Jose, can you support me to say a few words about your organization?
Yeah, pretty much the 3 organizations are the ones running the fellowship program. We have the contract with the European Commission to run the different open calls, and pretty much we are the ones running the fellowship. Pretty much we are consulting companies from Spain, France, and the UK. So pretty much, we'll be happy to give you more information if you send us an email for, I don't know, further interest or any other kind of question that you may have, okay?
Okay. Where to send the email to you?
Kirill, I will share with you the last, if you go to our website, you have the information, but here on the last slide, I'm sorry, I went too fast.
Yes, I saw some emails.
Yes,
Yeah.
so you can always contact us here, exactly. So it's explorers@ngi.eu. So you can send us an email there, okay?
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So thank you very much, everyone, for attending the webinar, having so many questions. I would like to remind that only a few days left to submit and finalize the application. Please don't wait to the last moment because, as is stated in the guidelines, we will not accept any justification in internet, lack of internet connection, or any other technology problems. The deadline states the same for every applicant, and unless there is any technological problem only from the F6S site website, which so far, in terms of any other project we have been running open course for, we have never faced that problem, but well, things may happen. But that could be the only eligible reason to claim why the application was delayed. In any other reason, we will be very strict, and the application that is submitted behind the deadline, meaning I believe it's on the last day of July, the 12th, hour noon test time, Central European time, and only until this time we will be receiving the application. Anything later we will not be including in the evaluation process. So please make sure you submit it on time. You can always still contact us. It's less than 1 week or around 1 week that left. So I wish you good luck. And I hope to see you, some of you at least, in Lisbon in October. So have a great week, and thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Very fruitful information. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Goodbye.